Well, it's official. Dragonball Daima's dub has finally wrapped up, and as promised, I'm going to do a little mini review of the dub voice acting changes and the dub itself, what I think of it. I'll mainly just go into detail on what I think of the voice changes on some of the old cast, mainly the main characters that move the story forward. Then talk about some of the new characters that move the story forward. Some of the other cast replacements I'm not really going to talk about, like Krillin and Master Roshi and etc., because they really don't have all that much to do with it. I'm just going to go through main character status, like main good guys and main villains. And of course, I'll talk about what I think of the performance that we're all going to want to hear about as the story goes forward. So I'm going to split this up into several segments. The cast replacements and the new characters. This isn't going to be a very long video, and I'm not going to go into full detail of the story since this is fresh new, and a lot of people that watch Dragon Ball are mainly dub watchers like me. So I watched as the series went on. I waited until all 20 episodes came out, and I just finished them Friday. I binged them all in one go. So let's stop talking and let's get to it. Let's talk about Dragon Ball Daima's dub characters. And I'll start talking about each one individually, starting with the old and the new. Let's hit it. Alright, I'm going to start this off with Supreme Kai's voice replacement, Nia Celeste. What do I think of her version of Supreme Kai? Well, she really does sound very similar to Kent Williams' version, and I've got to say, I catch a lot of the soft-spokenness that Kent Williams would go through as Supreme Kai, which, if you guys remember, I interviewed him on my channel a few years back, and he said he really liked the soft-spokenness of Supreme Kai, and she captures that cadence, and it does sound like a younger version of Kent Williams, while being able to do and twist the voice into her own thing. I really like the grasp on her version of Supreme Kai. It really did feel like maybe that Kent Williams was doing a younger voice. She captured the essence of this very well. I really don't have too many complaints about it. I think it's quite well done. A lot of the yelling, and we get more of Supreme Kai in action here. A lot of times we don't get to see Supreme Kai fight or do much in the series other than give exposition about how this is going to work or about the Z-Sword and the Buu Saga. I'm not going to go off Super. He really doesn't do much in Super either. But here we get a lot of Supreme Kai in action, and I've got to say, I really dig it. I really like the voice, the tone, and everything that she was able to capture Supreme Kai's voice really well. She's very talented. I'm really impressed with the way that she performed this character. It was awesome. I'm going to rate it a 8 out of 10 in her performance, by sounding very similar to Kent Williams, but still being able to grasp that these are two separate voices for the character. I like that, and I don't have any problems with this. So let's move on to the next one.
Shut it! That's my wife you're talking to!
Paul Castro Jr. is Vegeta. I gotta say, I catch a little bit of Brian Drummond and Chris Sabat in this. In fact, I swear Paul Castro Jr. probably had to watch both versions of Z. He was probably one of those early Z dub kids like us, but I do catch a little bit of Brian Drummond's essence and Chris Sabat's essence, and he's able to make Vegeta his own really well. The irony is, Chris Sabat could have done the voice himself, making Vegeta sound younger. He has done it before. If you watch Bardock, the father of Goku, he did voice a younger Vegeta, but I think I'm really happy with the way that Paul Castro was able to capture Vegeta here. He does really great. Like I said, I'm really feeling a middle ground between Brian Drummond and Chris Sabat. I don't know if that's what he was going for, but it feels like that's what he was going for, and it's a really good performance. He captures the gruffness, the princeliness of Sabat, the intensity of Brian Drummond. It's really interesting on how he was able to combo the voices. I hear a lot of Kai Vegeta and Z Vegeta in here too. The two different versions of the ways Sabat played the character. And he kind of is able to synergize the voices. I like that a lot. It's hard to do a Vegeta voice. It's really rare to find a good balance for someone else voicing Vegeta. And the only two people I thought could do that at the time was Brian Drummond and Chris Sabat. I've heard other versions of Vegeta, and I don't like the voice, especially in like Dragon Ball Super's redub of the Golden Frieza saga and the Beerus saga or whatever. I did watch those redubs, the Golden dub or whatever they're called. And of course I've heard other Vegeta voices too in the Blue Water dub of GT. And yeah, to me, I always thought that the only people who could capture Vegeta perfectly, other than his Japanese voice actor of course, in English was Chris Sabat and Brian Drummond. But nope, Paul Castro Jr. was able to figure and nail the voice and give me a happy balance of both versions of, well, I'm going to say three versions. The two Chris Sabat versions of Z and Kai, and a little bit of Brian Drummond thrown in there. So yeah, Paul Castro Jr.'s voice for Vegeta is solid. It is a solid take on the character. I love it. Definitely going to give this one a good score of a 9 out of 10. He does a great balance, and he captures Vegeta to a T. That's all I got is respect for the guy. Let's move on to the next voice.
Hurry up and figure out how to balance your new body. It shouldn't be that hard.
Next we have Nassim Ben Court. Please forgive me. I am so terrible with pronunciation, guys. Nassim as Piccolo. Holy crap, he does fantastic as Piccolo. That's all I'm going to say. This might be my second favorite performance of the old cast because, man, does he capture Piccolo great to a T. I love it. I love his version of Piccolo a lot. And he just does really good at giving Piccolo that Sabat gruffness and the wise noise, or the wise voice, I guess I could say. It's a really great combo. He does a little bit of a younger Sabat, is what I hear, but yet he does make him sound kind of similar to Scott McNeil too, from the Ocean dub of DBZ. So yeah, I think the director was having these guys watch both the Ocean dub of the characters and the Funimation Z dub of the characters, which is fun. But what do I think of Nassim's performance in general? It's awesome. And like I just blurted out a few seconds ago, this is my second favorite performance of the entire show. Of course, my number one favorite is going to be obvious because I just don't shut up about it on Twitter or X or whatever the hell it's called. But man, he captures Piccolo's personality perfectly. I love it. I catch a lot of the Scott McNeil gruffness in there, or the Scott McNeil intensity like Paul with Vegeta's Brian Drummond's version. And I also catch a lot of the wise tone that is supposed to be had with his voice that Sabat had. It's like a really great balance. He was able to bend the character to his own, and I just really dig the performance that he gave. He can make Piccolo kind of funny too, but he can make him sound like a badass. He can make him sound really funny. He can make him sound kind of goofy. And it's really hard to make Piccolo sound funny. That is really hard to do, and I always thought that Sabat was terrible at making Piccolo sound funny, but yet Scott McNeil was good at giving us that intense balance of funny too, and brutal and strong. But yet Nassim was perfect at capturing this balance of the character, better than maybe even Sabat and McNeil themselves. I really dug his Piccolo. His Piccolo just sounded perfect. I don't know if they went back and redubbed the original Dragon Ball itself and the scenes with Child Piccolo or Piccolo hatched from an egg or whatever it was. I wouldn't complain if they had him dub over those lines. He was that good. I'm normally really picky about redubbing a show, but in this case, his Piccolo was out of this world. He did fantastic, and I hope he comes back for more Dragon Ball projects. I'm going to also give him a 9 out of 10. This was a solid performance. He took a character that was voiced previously by 2 great voice actors, and he did his own twist to it. So let's move on to the next.
This whole trip has been an ordeal. Would you be the princess I've heard about?
Of course, we have Taylor Murphy as Bulma. Now, everyone knows that I am not the biggest fan of Monica Riel as Bulma, so I really don't have much to say, but I do like Maggie Blue O'Hara and definitely Tiffany Volmire as Bulma a lot more. But Taylor was able to take a voice that I didn't like for Bulma, basically Monica Riel, and make it likable. Yeah, she does. It feels like it's a mixture of Z Bulma and Kai Bulma, which I do like, but I can tell she was trying to go for more of the Kai version of Bulma, unfortunately. And I'm not the biggest Monica Riel fan ever, not really at all. There are some things that I do like Monica Riel in, like Steel Angel Kurumi and I guess Panty and Stocking or whatever. But yeah, as Bulma, she's terrible. But Taylor Murphy does a much better job as Bulma than Monica Riel. So that's pretty funny that the younger version of Bulma sounds way better than the older version of Bulma. And I don't want to insult Monica's performance as Bulma, but the older she gets as Bulma, the worse she sounds. Taylor was able to kind of find a balance with that and sound a lot like similar to a younger version of Monica Riel, but also a younger version of Tiffany Volmire too. So it's sort of a win here. Her voice is way more tolerable to me in this version. Daima's version is a lot more tolerable. But I wouldn't want her to go back and redub Bulma in Dragon Ball. That would just kind of drive me crazy, because I think Tiffany Volmire has excellent comedic timing in the original Dragon Ball series, and it works a lot better to me. But she did a good, solid job, and I'm going to rate her performance as a 7 out of 10. That's a pretty fair one. But the one everyone's talking about is coming up in the next segment.
What's going on now?
Stephanie Nadonley as Kid Goku's return. Okay. This one is the best of the series, and the entire reason I watched the dub to Dragon Ball Daima. I'm just going to say this and get this out and get this over with. If they had Colleen Clickenbeard come back to voice Kid Goku again in this dub, I probably wouldn't have touched this series with a 10-foot pole. Colleen Clickenbeard sounds terrible as Kid Goku. You guys remember the worst to best Kid Goku voices that I ranked a few weeks ago, or maybe a month or two ago? I just couldn't stand her voice. It's squeaky. She sounds like Mickey Mouse. So the director got the ingenious idea to get Stephanie Nadonley to come back to promote this series. And was it a good idea? Oh, hell yeah. It was a great freaking idea, guys. Great idea. Fantastic. I love this idea that she got to come back and play Kid Goku again. Here's the history of that. They replaced her unfairly, might I add, in Kai with Colleen Clickenbeard, who sounds terrible, who sounds like dog shit. I'm sorry to anyone who likes this performance. Yes, Kai is closer to the script, yada, yada, yada. There is some controversial reasons of why Stephanie was replaced. I will not go into that on this channel because that's not what this channel is about. But I would not completely watch Kai because of the replacement of Nadonli. Colleen did not fit. So when they announced in the trailer of all things that Stephanie was coming back to play Kid Goku, yeah, my nerd radar just started soaring. I was just beyond happy. And now that the product is finished, what do I think? How do I think she did? Fucking excellent. I mean, not only does she sound like she has been doing this for the past 15 years, it doesn't sound like she has ever taken a break from voice acting. And she even sounds better now than she did back in the early Dragon Ball and Dragon Ball Z and GT days. That is really talent right there. That's pure essence talent. What do I think of it? It's just freaking great. I still cannot believe to this day, it's been a few months since it's been announced that she has returned to play Kid Goku. I still cannot believe it that they got her back and they knew how to market the series. I mean, I was hook, line, and suckered in. She's got the yells back down. She's got the script back down. She's got the fighting scenes, the laughs. Everything about Kid Goku is here, and it has a much clearer script. It goes to the script. If they got her back in Kai to replace Colleen Clickenbeard as Gohan, I would probably buy all of Kai on DVD and watch it that way. That's the way I wanted to watch Kai when I heard it was announced. But no, they don't do that. But still, this finished project, she is fantastic. And unfortunately, this will probably be the last time she plays Kid Goku again for a long time. It saddens me a little bit, but it is an excellent performance. I was just beyond impressed with it. Everything that she did in this series, it was just great. I love Kid Goku even more than I do adult Goku. And this was just fan-freaking-tastic. This is the best performance in the entire run. And you cannot tell that Stephanie herself has been gone for 15 years. I can't tell. And when she makes this big, huge voice acting comeback 15 years later to reprise her rightful character, it freaking fits. It's awesome. Man, does it make me happy. I told you I would come back and do the review of this and review the voice acting and the characters, and yep, I did it. So how I'm going to rate her performance out of this, if this were the old DBZ script, I'd probably give it an 8 out of 10. But this one is Dragonball Daima. It's closer to the script. There's a new director that's really working on the essence of Dragon Ball. It fits perfectly. I'm going to give her performance a 10 out of 10. It is just that good. It's a perfect performance. To me, Stephanie is Kid Goku. And will die on that hill. I apologize, but I'll die on that freaking hill. Alright, let's move on to the new cast.
My name is Gloria. I have a request.
Next we have Aaron Dishmook, who plays Glorio. You know what? Goku called his name wrong throughout most of the series. Well, thankfully he didn't. Aaron is back, and Aaron is definitely a veteran voice actor from the old days. If anyone remembers, he was Alphonse Elric from Full Metal Alchemist. The original Full Metal Alchemist, not Brotherhood. Maxine Whitehead did him in Brotherhood. But still, Aaron plays Glorio excellent. I do notice a very similar cadence to him and the Japanese voice actor, but it's honestly a good portrayal. He does have a really good grasp on the gruffness and the more annoyed personality. Basically, Glorio is a glorified babysitter in this, and both versions, the Japanese and English, have to sound like he's really freaking annoyed. He's also a double agent in this. I'm sorry if I'm spoiling anything for anyone, but don't watch this if you're not seeing the show. I like his grasp on the character and his take, especially the annoyance in his voice where he's like, well, you do know my name, and when Goku gets his name wrong, how they play off each other is pretty funny. I'm going to rate this performance an easy 8 out of 10. It's fantastic.
I'm Pansy. Nice to meet you.
Next is Veronica Lax, I don't know, as Pansy. And what can I say? She makes Pansy sound adorable. Most of the time, I'm not into these cutesy little kid characters on a series. Like in Fate Stay Night, I get really annoyed when Ilias Feel or whatever is on screen and they have these annoying voices. Stephanie Shea plays her. I know I'm getting completely off subject. What the fuck does Fate have to do with Dragon Ball? But I'm saying normally these little cute kid characters are voiced by squeaky voiced characters like Stephanie Shea. They didn't go this route. Veronica was a perfect fit. She doesn't give her a squeaky voice. She gives her a very good, tolerable sounding voice, and I really like her performance. And she's actually pretty funny too. I like a lot of Pansy's lines. She's hilarious. In fact, she might be my third favorite performance and character in Dragon Ball Daima so far. The chemistry she has with Goku is hilarious, and the chemistry she has with the other castmates are great too. It feels like these guys are all in the same room when I know the dubbing process is completely different than a regular animated series process where they're in the room together. I know there's filmed separately, but the way they dub this, it feels like they're all in the room working off one another, and Pansy's voice just works to a T. I love the performance. I'm going to go out on a limb and give this one a 9 out of 10. It's fantastic.
Let's use the Dragon Ball!
Now we're up to Tom Laughlin as Goma. King Goma. What can I say about this one? This guy reminds me a lot of Emperor Pilaf, and man, does he do the voice really well. He could be extremely funny, extremely loud. I love this performance. I catch a little... They could have went the lazy route and gotten Chuck Huber to do his Pilaf voice, but they didn't. They got a new guy in, and he sounds freaking great. And what can I say? He's fucking hilarious, too. His voice matches really well, but it doesn't sound much like the Japanese version, which I'm fine with. They all don't have to sound the same to me. A lot of times I like when a dub sounds really different from the sub, because I like to see the American or the English version's interpretation of that character. And I believe Tom's voice just fits. He's loud when he wants to be. He can be really bumbling. He could be really threatening when he needs to be. I love this. The character is pretty darn funny too. I like the character. I like the voice. I don't think anyone else could have played King Goma the way that he did. And I think his voice just has a certain essence to it that is really enjoyable. I'm going to rate him an 8 out of 10 for his performance. So far, I haven't found any flaws with the characters in this dub. This might be one of my new favorite dubs. So let's continue moving on.
No one is left to threaten your rule.
This is Landon McDonald as Degasu. Well, I do think that they could have gotten Kent Williams to just voice this character. Yeah, they could have, but they didn't. They got somebody new. And what do I think of his performance? It's actually pretty good. There really isn't anything wrong with his performance at all. It's pretty awesome. I do like that his voice sounds very similar to Kent Williams in a way. It's got a very smooth accent to it, and a very flowing cadence. I like that quite a bit. So far, this is a really solid voice cast, like I said. There are the times where he needs to be funny, annoyed, and also he could be very threatening at the times, too, when he needs to be. This guy is definitely going places. So, what do I rate his performance? I give it about a 7 out of 10.
The time has come.
Morgan Lore Garrett as Aransu. What do I think of her voice for the character and interpretation of the character? This one I really like a lot. She has kind of a deeper voice, which kind of fits the character, because technically the Supreme Kai characters, or the Lens, I guess is what they're called, are not supposed to have a specific gender. They can kind of change their gender. I think that's how I got it, the interpretation that they were going for. But her voice fits. I like the deepness of it and the fact that you can tell it's a woman's voice, but you can also hear she does sound a little more sensual than the Japanese version. I do like that in her voice a lot too. I like how cunning she can sound, and she can do some pretty funny things in the series with the two Majins, whose names I just can't remember. The green Majin Boos is what I'm going to call them, and no, I'm not going to judge their performances. She has some great chemistry with them, alongside King Goma's chemistry with her. She's just really, really funny. And the way that she portrays the character is fantastic. I do like a lot of the back and forth that she has with the other characters. And her relationship with Glorio is kind of nice too. I kind of like it. Her voice fits to a T. And definitely I hope she comes back for more Dragon Ball projects. So I'm going to give her a 7 out of 10.
Not supposed to travel there.
Took care of the paperwork already.
Oh, you don't say.
For the final voice is Garrett Schneck as Neva. Okay, this one is sort of a miss for me. I don't have any disrespect toward the actor, but maybe this was my TV quality or not. But a lot of times this guy would talk, I would just hear, mainly he would sound really muffled. I think that's the idea, but this one might be my least favorite performance in the entire run, the entire cast. And I don't think it's his fault. I don't know if the show had some quality issues or my TV had quality issues, but every time he would speak, I would just hear this, it would sound like a lot of whispering, or he would be kind of hard to understand at the time. I would understand what he's saying, but I would have a lot of trouble making it out. Maybe it's because of my hearing. I don't know, but none of the other castmates talked like that. None of the other characters. I can understand almost every word that they would say. But his version, yeah, it may be because he was trying to echo the Japanese version a lot. And maybe the Japanese version talked like this. But I just kept hearing, maybe I'm just going deaf. I don't know. The voice fit. He did do good at sounding like a gruffled old man, and sometimes a curious and mischievous old man at times, but I don't know. This one is my least favorite. I just wish he could have talked louder in his gruffled voice or mumbling that he would do. I'm gonna rate this one maybe a 6 out of 10. No offense against the performance itself, but maybe I'm just becoming an old man myself and my hearing's just not what it was, and I could not understand most of what he was saying. I had to turn my TV up to 25 to hear what the heck he was saying, when most of the time my TV speakers, 15 or 13 is the loudest they can get, and it's really loud. So, yeah, I don't know if it was my TV having issues or Crunchyroll having issues when he would speak. I just don't know. But yeah, 6 out of 10. I'm sorry. Next, we'll move on to what I think of the dub as a whole. Well, it was a chore to actually put this video out. I've been putting less and less videos out lately for the past couple years. I've got a lot going on still. A lot of stuff been going ups and downs. I've been getting new interviews and other interviews, but I'm still making videos. I'm still making projects. I've got projects I'm working on. The next video that I'm going to have out in the next round, guys, is probably going to be another commercial video. You'll see it when you see it. But for now, this was a fun video to make. It was nice to get back into that nostalgic vibe of Dragon Ball GT, the original Z dub, the Kai dub, and the Ocean dub. of the Dragon Ball franchise. That's what it felt like. This was made for us early 2000s fans. Anyway, that about does it for me in this video. Is there any more Dragon Ball stuff you guys want me to go over? Maybe I should do a full-fledged retrospective of the series. Maybe, maybe not. Tell me in the comments. Always remember, I'm listening.
Hi, this is Peter Calamus. Many of you know me as Ralph, but I happen to be Mr. Tim's favorite Goku. Now, I'm here to tell you guys to like and subscribe to see more lists, reviews, and interviews. So, like and subscribe. I'm pointing here like it's right in front of me. Like and subscribe so you don't miss out. Huh? Yeah.